Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're plunging into the latest and greatest in electrification and battery technology. We've pulled insights directly from the most relevant LinkedIn posts of the last couple of weeks, insights curated by Thomas Allgeier and the team at Frennis.
Right.
They're, masters at finding those executive insights far beyond just the algorithms. Get ready for some truly compelling aha moments.
That's right. And these aren't just headlines. I mean, they're crucial nuggets revealing a pretty dynamic shift across the entire mobility industry.
Yeah.
We're talking about everything from charging infrastructure evolving into, well, a legitimate grid resource to significant strides in battery longevity and the exciting developments in heavy-duty vehicle electrification. It's been a fascinating period of real-world progress.
All right, let's dive into our first major shift then, the evolving charging landscape. Specifically, how infrastructure and business models are changing so fast. It's truly fascinating how fast charging, once seen as maybe a burden on the grid, is now emerging as a valuable asset.
Absolutely.
Thomas Allgeier highlighted this, and we're seeing more experts like Gianluca Corbellini sparking debates and showing how these sites can genuinely benefit the grid.
Yeah, it's not just about consuming power anymore. It's about optimizing it. And Angelo E. really broke down the mechanics of this.
Okay.
He showed how EV charging is becoming far more than just a utility service. He outlined 5 fascinating new revenue streams for smart EV charging operators.
5 distinct revenue streams beyond just selling kilowatt hours. That sounds like a game changer for profitability. What's at the top of that list?
Well, first up is energy arbitrage.
Wow.
Basically buying electricity low and selling or using it high, especially with time of use rates.
Right, makes sense.
Operators, particularly those with storage on site, are seeing margin improvements of like 40 to 60% in places like California and Texas.
Wow.
Then there's dynamic pricing, like surge pricing for ride shares.
Uh-huh.
API-driven tariff engines let operators adjust pricing based on demand, weather, even local events. Some European operators are seeing like 25 to 35% revenue increases from that.
So it's really about smart energy management then. What else did Angelo E. uncover? Because I imagine there are other ways to capitalize when people are just waiting there.
Exactly. Spot on. There's retail and amenity revenue. A fast charging session, it can last 20, maybe 40 minutes. That's a captive audience.
True.
Big players like Target, Starbucks, they already co-locate chargers for this reason. A well-placed charger can generate like $2 to $5 in retail profit for every dollar in charging revenue.
That's pretty significant.
And for businesses with fleets, there are fleet contracts. These are multi-year deals, bundling charging with services and software. Turns a big CapEx hardware spend into recurring revenue.
Okay.
We're talking 10-15% EBITDA potential there.
That's a surprising array of profit angles beyond just the electricity itself. And the fifth one, what was that?
The fifth is grid services. Operators can earn, say, $50 or $150 per charger per year just through demand response programs. And that potential could even double or triple as vehicle-to-grid or V2G really scales up, especially for fleet depots.
Right.
It's clear, the winners in this space aren't just moving electrons. They're strategically leveraging margin, dwell time, and recurring revenue.
That really flips the script on the profitability of charging, doesn't it? It also ties into what Maxime Taran posted about that common misconception around EV charging ROI.
Yeah, I saw that.
He emphasized it's not just about reselling electricity. When you factor in carbon credits, those amenities we just talked about, the ROI can actually come down to a surprisingly short 5-7 years, much faster than many people think.
It's a fantastic point. And yeah, those ancillary revenues are increasingly critical. We're seeing real-world data supporting that now. The old view of charging is just a utility play. That's evolving fast.
And physically, the infrastructure itself.
Also evolving rapidly. Steve Burkett pointed out a massive shift. A leading U.S. travel stop chain is rolling out modular dispensers with both CCS1 and NACS connectors.
Both on the same dispenser. Wow.
Yeah. This isn't just about convenience. It signals the definitive mainstreaming of the Tesla standard, NACS, across the public charging network.
Less adapter anxiety, finally.
Exactly. A more unified experience on the horizon.
That's a huge step towards making EVs as easy to refuel as gasoline cars.
It really is. We're also seeing interesting partnerships forming, like WeaveGrid and Rivian. which Anissa Commodoli-Costa and Steve Taylor highlighted. They're blending OEM data with grid services software for managed charging.
Smart.
And Stéphane Degang shared that Total Energies is now leading France's motorway fast charging network. They've got 850 points, 380 megawatts of installed power.
380 megawatts. That's a truly massive scale.
Huge.
Okay, speaking of where we charge, Maytham Al-Sodani brought up the home versus public charging debate, reminding us it's not really an either situation, is it?
No, not at all.
Both are essential. If you neglect one, you leave out key users, renters, road trippers, rideshare drivers, fleets, people who can't easily charge overnight.
That's precisely the insight. Gergana Ivanova expanded on that interdependence, looking at a Charge Up Europe report.
Okay.
Her view is that private charging is actually the foundation for public charging success, which kind of challenges manufacturers to optimize their products for private use, since, something like 92% of charging happens there currently?
92%. Wow. Okay. On a more technical note, Christophe Lefilibert brought up the strategic decision around charging protocols. OCPP versus Modbus.
Ah, yes, the languages.
Exactly. For those less familiar, these are how chargers talk to the grid and other systems.
Right.
Lefilibert emphasized how that choice, which might seem abstract, deeply impacts scalability, efficiency, resilience.
Oh, it's absolutely critical for any large-scale deployment.
Right.
Make the wrong choice there, and you create enormous headaches down the line. And for a remarkable highlight in deployment efficiency, Quincy Edmund Lee shared that Electric Era achieved a record 54-day install time for new fast charging sites.
54 days.
They did it by mitigating grid and demand charges with their patented software. It allowed for a 70% smaller grid connection.
70% smaller.
Yeah. Imagine the implications for retailers, utilities trying to roll out fast charging quickly. It's a potential game changer.
Definitely.
Now let's pivot a bit. Theme 2, vehicle to grid, V2G, and bidirectional charging. This is really shifting from, theoretical discussions to tangible, large-scale deployments.
Yeah, this theme really feels like where the future becomes the present. Europe just validated this at fleet scale, which is hugely exciting.
It is.
Ariane Potel-Meunier, Gertjan Geerts, Luca De Meo, Chris Heron, Robin Berg. They all share insights on Utrecht's groundbreaking V2G car-sharing service.
Renault project.
That's the one. 500 shared Renault EVs linked to bidirectional chargers. It's a real-world demo of shared e-mobility as a pillar of the energy transition. That's a massive step, isn't it?
It is, and it really underscores how critical regulatory alignment is to scale that kind of impact.
Absolutely.
And on that front, Bill Pierce and Steve Taylor highlighted a significant regulatory advance in the U.S. Maryland adopted dedicated V2G interconnection rules.
Ah, okay. First clear pathway.
First clear regulatory pathway in the U.S., yeah. Setting national standards for how V2G systems actually connect to the grid. That's been a major hurdle.
That's vital for enabling broader adoption. And we're also seeing the hardware side industrializing more.
Right, definitely. Manfred Priscilla from Ambibox GmbH announced that a German tech supplier and a global OEM formalized cooperation to industrialize bidirectional hardware and home energy management platforms.
Okay.
Plus, Imogen Bogle shared that the BYD Dolphin is now being offered with a lease option that includes bidirectional charging and even free smart charging.
Driving for free, that's quite a proposition.
These are real consumer-facing incentives now. And if you connect this to the bigger picture, Volker Raffel and Kai Fiber explain how EVs can become this excellent source of flexibility for the power system.
Right, smoothing out demand.
Exactly. Owners can actually earn money by adjusting charging habits, supporting energy autonomy. Maria Binkson stresses that understanding the whole V2G value chain is critical for competitive advantage here.
The recent EVS 38 event really focused on this too. Volvo, Polestar, Nissan, all showcasing V2G-ready models. But Christian Sevdari noted a significant challenge, that ISO 151-1820 amendment. The standard for how EVs talk to the grid for V2G, it isn't fully approved yet.
The interoperability hurdle.
Yeah. This lack of a finalized universal handshake protocol is hindering true AC V2G interoperability across different brands and chargers. How big of a bottleneck is this?
That's a significant one, yeah. Interoperability is pretty much non-negotiable for consumer confidence and wide rollout.
Sure.
However, Judy Finch highlighted that companies like Danfoss, their power converters are already enabling V2G capabilities and integrating energy storage. So the hardware is advancing even as the standards play catch-up.
Given all these advancements, then, what do you see as the biggest hurdle for widespread V2G? Is it still engineering challenges or more market resistance now? It feels like we're past the if and firmly into the how and when.
That's an excellent question. And maybe one for you, the listener, to mull over. Let's move on, though, to theme 3, powering the heavy-duty future. Megawatt Charging Systems, MCS.
Right. Big trucks, big power needs.
Exactly. This is where massive charging power is needed for trucks, buses, other large vehicles, and we're seeing rapid progress here too.
It seems like it. The heavy-duty sector is a whole different beast for charging, demanding power on a scale most cars just don't need.
Indeed. Syed Haseeb Hassan shared from Power to Drive 2025 that ABB previewed a 1.2 megawatt MCS, slated for commercial launch in 2025.
1.2 megawatts, wow.
Incredible power. And at EVS 38, Tobias Engvall, Hugo L., and Nilesh Waman, they all highlighted a live charging demo of a Volvo FH Aero electric truck using MCS connectors, really showing the interoperability progress.
Live demos are key.
Definitely. And Bernd Hormeyer gave an update on the IEC-TS 63379 draft standard for megawatt DC charging. It's successfully passed committee voting.
So standardization is moving forward.
Yes, which is crucial for ensuring safety and that critical interoperability for heavy-duty EVs.
This sounds like real strides in standards and hardware availability. Mark Stubbs did a deep dive into the vehicles coming online, too. Yeah, Daimler Truck testing up to 1,000 kilowatt, MN&AE TGX supporting up to 750 kilowatt, Scania testing MCS since 2023, and Volvo Trucks plans the FH Aero Electric with MCS in 2025.
The vehicles are definitely catching up to the charging tech at an incredible pace. The progress in this segment is truly remarkable.
Seems like it.
However, Gil Knoll offered a more nuanced view. She questioned if megawatt charging is really a silver bullet for all electric HGVs.
Oh. Why is that?
Well, she pointed out that for some use cases, sustained rates like DF's 325 kilowatt available at depots might actually be enough. It could negate the need for the higher investment in MCS infrastructure.
So it depends on the route and duty cycle.
Exactly. It's not one size fits all. Understanding the specific use case is paramount.
That's a crucial distinction. But for those cases where it is needed, we're seeing real-world deployment now. Juan Luis Hernandez mentioned being involved in commissioning the first public MCS at Mellens's Landvetter hub in Sweden.
In Sweden.
That's a major step for high-power charging in Europe. It's not just lab tests anymore.
No, it's hitting the road.
Okay.
Next up, theme 4, battery advancements and circularity. This covers longevity, fast charging, recycling, really the core of EV performance and its long-term life cycle.
And addressing those key concerns, right? Range, charging time, environmental impact.
Precisely.
And there have been some truly exciting breakthroughs here. Charging speed, range. Duran Meyersdorf from StoreDot announced they secured patents for lithium-ion cells capable of full charges in under 10 minutes.
Under 10 minutes. That's faster than filling up with gas.
Right. Think about that. Plus, analysts are spotlighting prototypes promising ranges up to 1,200 miles. Which, as Dan Caesar noted, really reinforces battery's edge over hydrogen for long distance. He sees the hydrogen hype for passenger cars fading.
Yeah, those are game-changing numbers for adoption. They really chip away at that lingering range anxiety. And on the critical side of battery longevity and sustainability, Oli Margraf shared that Chinese researchers unveiled an AI-driven method that restores aged lithium-ion batteries to, get this, 96% of their original capacity.
96% restored.
Yeah. This could fundamentally transform battery recycling, moving from just crush and shred to actual rejuvenation.
Wow.
Imagine a world where battery packs have dramatically extended first, second, even third lives. That significantly reduces demand for raw materials, lowers the environmental footprint.
That's a profound shift for circularity. And what about real-world battery health? I saw something on that, too.
Yeah. Davide Giacobbe provided some great data. A 2020 Tesla Model Y with over 233,000 miles, still holding 79% battery health, and a perfectly balanced pack.
233,000 miles and still 79%.
Yeah.
That really challenges a lot of the skepticism about used EVs and battery degradation, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. That kind of real-world data is incredibly compelling. It debunks quite a few myths.
But there's still challenges in recycling, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Stephen Chung, speaking from the Battery Recycling Conference, flagged some significant ones for second-life applications. He mentioned fragmented feedstock, low prices for new cells creating competitive pressure.
Right.
And he also highlighted the urgent need to solve the data gap before 2035, meaning reliable info on battery health and history, plus better reverse logistics for getting used batteries back.
So even with the rejuvenation tech, just getting the materials back efficiently is still a major hurdle?
Precisely. But companies are working on it. Farouk Tedjar from SKTS Group R&D France highlighted their efforts in developing direct repair and closed-loop processes. Their focus is on assessing state of charge, state of health, safe discharge, and these double closed-loop recycling processes. They're trying to tackle that projected 20 million ton wave of end-of-life EV batteries expected by 2040.
20 million tons, huge number.
Enormous. They're working on making recycling far more efficient and truly circular.
Okay, and finally on batteries, a critical safety concern was raised by Dennis Laskoff. He shared research from the University of Florida.
What was that about?
Cybersecurity risks and counterfeit dangers in EV battery systems. He pointed out that an alarming, 30% of the global battery market consists of counterfeit products.
30% counterfeit.
Yeah, which can pose significant hazards overheating, fires. It's a stark reminder that innovation needs robust safety and security alongside it.
Absolutely critical point.
Okay, let's broaden our lens now for our last theme. Theme 5, market dynamics and strategic imperatives. Policy, investment, adoption challenges. The macro view.
Right, the bigger picture.
Starting with policy signals, the UK just removed local planning approval hurdles for curbside chargers under the Planning Permission Order 2025. Nihan Derya Kilislioglu noted this aims to streamline rollouts.
Which is definitely helpful. But on a more cautious note, mobility thought leaders like Gabe Klein and Julian Renpinning, too, are warning that Europe and the U.S. risk ceding battery investment leadership to China.
How so?
Without faster permitting processes and those crucial grid upgrades we keep mentioning, it's a global race, The policy environment has to keep pace with the tech innovation.
That's a significant warning. But despite those potential headwinds, we are seeing positive strategic moves, right? Partnerships, investments.
Oh, yes. Charge port operators, utilities, OEMs, they're announcing collaborations to co-develop V2X platforms, often with shared revenue models.
Smart.
Investors are also pointing to heavy-duty electrification and those microgrid-enabled depots as priority growth segments. And micro-storage solutions, like Flooring Coulter, observed with Grid Charge, are gaining traction too. Partners exploring that convergence of distributed energy and charging.
So capital seems to be flowing where the real opportunities lie, especially around integration and commercial use.
It indicates a pretty robust investment landscape for key areas, yeah. However, there's a potential headwind for EV adoption we need to acknowledge.
Okay, what's that?
The rising cost of public fast charging. Steve Hill and Danny Tai reported that in the U.S. and Europe, it's now often as expensive, or sometimes more expensive, than gasoline.
Really? More expensive.
Yeah. This particularly hits those without home charging options. It could erode a key EV advantage. How significant do you think this cost parity issue is becoming?
It's definitely something to watch closely, especially for city dwellers or maybe people on tighter budgets. But on the flip side, Vidas Bielinis shared some impressive overall growth data from that Charge Up Europe 2025 report.
The growth numbers are still strong.
Very. 10.6 million EVs in Europe now. That's up 52% year on year. And 1 in 5 new cars sold in 2024 were electric.
1 in 5?
Oh. The caveat, though, is the ongoing need for reliable infrastructure. Growth is great, but reliability is absolutely key to keep that momentum going.
Couldn't agree more. And to put it all into a larger perspective, Roger Atkins emphasized something important looking at China's electricity generation growth.
Yeah.
It underscores the global need for modern energy grids to support all this electrification. As he put it, there's no transition without transmission.
Good line.
It really highlights this huge opportunity to fundamentally redesign how energy and mobility interact, moving beyond just putting more chargers out there to truly integrated smart energy ecosystems.
Well, if you enjoyed this deep dive, new deep dives drop every 2 weeks. Also check out our other editions on future mobility and market evolution, next-gen vehicle intelligence, and commercial fleet insights. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for listening. And as you look ahead, maybe consider how all these diverse trends we talked about, VDG scaling, megawatt charging, battery rejuvenation, new policies, how they'll converge. They're going to shape not just the vehicles we drive, but entire urban energy ecosystems in the coming years.
Right.
What kind of smart cities will emerge from this transformation? And, what role might you play in them?
Absolutely. Lots to think about. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive.